All right. We're here with Jeff, who's been one of our clients for several months now. Jeff, how are you today?
I'm doing great, Alex. How are you doing?
Good, good. Good to see you. Thanks for joining on Zoom again. I wanted to ask if you could give us a little bit of your background of your business.
Sure. So Alexander's has been around for about 30 years,
30 years.
32
Wow.
years now. And so uh, we've we've been in the North Alabama, Huntsville area for a while, trying to make a difference in reaching our community, make a positive difference in their lives, right? One black belt at a time. So, knowing that takes a while. We're invested in long-term development. Um, that's kind of the goal, right? We get to see people build life skills, and we just get to use fun martial arts as a way to do it. So
That's wonderful. That's a real positive approach. I'm glad to hear that you guys have been around for so many years. That already speaks to your program and the quality of it and all the success you've had. Now, given that you've been around for a while and been doing this for a long time, what led you to look into this kind of coaching program?
so one of the things that we noticed is in uh, the era during and following the height of the COVID pandemic. The world has changed, and some of the strategies that we used to use, we're not getting the same results that we used to get from them.
Okay.
And so we were looking for maybe some tips and some guidance on um, newer or more updated uh, industry success stories that we could use to tweak some of the processes we already had in place, just to try to enhance our results. So, as
That
far as
makes sense.
reaching out, new student acquisition, engaging the community a little bit more, ways that in the you know in the way the world has changed since everything got shut down for a while, how do we re-engage in a way that reaches them where they are instead of trying things that maybe used to work but don't work the same way anymore?
Yeah, that's an interesting point you make. What kind of things had you tried that you felt like weren't working so great?
Sure. So one of the things that happened, and I don't know that it was directly related to the pandemic, but I think it was a sequence of changes that happened coincidentally with it. Um, the heightened um, the heightened security in some of the schools that made it a little bit more difficult to get in. That meant having to have approval from different levels of administration, and the ability that they had to redirect
Hmm.
or not wanting to take responsibility for allowing somebody to come talk to students. It seemed like it was getting harder and harder to make inroads into some of the places where we used to be able to go make a positive difference, right? We could do a seminar, we could do a PE talk for a day, or we could do an assembly. It was just getting harder and harder to make those inroads. And so we figured somebody out there is doing it better than we are right now.
Hmm.
Let's find out what's working. So
Got it. Got it. And once you got into the coaching program with Matt and myself, what kind of strategies did you find helpful with that?
so a couple of things that we found that were helpful for us. Um, Part of it, I'm ashamed to say, was better in-house tracking on what we were trying. We had allowed some of that to drift, and we weren't as intentional as we needed to be in tracking our results.
Hmm.
Um, but honestly, the other part was small verbiage changes, maybe approaching a different level of administrator than what we had normally been successful with before.
Okay.
We used to be able to just call a principal up and say, "Hey, can we come do a thing?" Um, More and more, we were finding that counselors were the way to go.
Hmm.
Um, Sometimes we're still getting the redirect from them off to the PE teacher or somebody like that, but that was okay. Um, but we were finding that approaching a different level of administrator was having a better result.
Okay, good. Well, tell me some about your results. What happened?
So let's see. I can tell you one in particular. Reached out to a couple of counselors at one of the schools, and they had two counselors. Reached out to both of them. Wasn't able to when I just stopped by, do the drop in. Hey, can I see so and so?
Mhm.
That wasn't working so great, even though we were trying. Followed up with an email because the gatekeepers at the front desk were like, "Here, well, you can email them." So sent a couple of emails using some of the scripts that you guys had available. I tweaked them just a tiny bit to make it us.
Sure.
Um, but those emails within 24 hours, both of those counselors had responded,
Oh, nice.
which quite honestly, was sadly to say, that felt like a really, really positive thing because we hadn't had that quick of a response in quite a while. Um, Turns out they were really wanting to guide us towards the PE teachers that at that time as well. But
Mm,
at least I was making contact and I was getting them to reply to things, which was quite honestly positive compared to what it
yeah.
had been.
Yeah,
So,
I can understand how getting any kind of reply, even if it's not your ideal one right away, is so much better than nothing, so much better than no reply or rejection right from there. It's
right.
understandable. Now, did you get some results once you were able to connect and get in and work with some of their students, do some programs?
We have not yet had a large number, or honestly, I think maybe we've gotten into one school since then.
Hmm.
Um, it's not been it's not been all I would hope for. However, I will say this: much of that effort was coming toward the end of the school year, and
Sure.
so between the school calendars and all of those things, I realized we were fighting an uphill battle. I do think having those having those resources and those approaches in hand now, as we approach the beginning of the next school year, I I am hopeful that we'll see uh, an increased result as we get back to the new school year rather than the end of the last one.
Yeah, I agree. I think the beginning of the school year has a lot more potential than trying to cram it in at the end of the school year. So I think you're right on there. If you had never done any of this, if you had never
Mhm.
come into the coaching program or explored the, different W or dojo programs, where do you think you guys would have been?
Uh, where would we have been over the last 6 months? I would say roughly the same position, but with less hope.
Mm,
Um, I think we would have had several months of trying the same things over and over and getting the same results,
yeah.
but not having the expectation of, okay, now I've practiced this, I've tweaked this. Now that the calendar is in a position where things are going to be more conducive, I've got a little bit more hope that this thing that I've been practicing and working on is going to pay off. So I think that's where we would be if we hadn't done it. I think we would be roughly the same position, but with less hope for the future. So that while it doesn't sound like a huge difference, it's massive. So
Yeah, that outlook can be a powerful thing for sure. Whether it's you for your own um, thoughts for the future, or whether you're able to also pass that optimism onto your staff and motivate them as well. I would say hope is a powerful thing for sure. Um, we've had some people over months and years who have considered coaching. Sometimes they're like, I'm not sure if this is for me. I'm not sure if it's a right fit. I'm not sure if I should do this. What kind of feedback would you give that kind of person who might be on the fence?
so for the person on the fence, I would probably say this. Um, if you were even considering it to begin with, that means you know there's something else. It
Mm,
means that there's something you're looking for. Having been in a different industry and been a coach myself, and then looking at this process that we've gone through as well, even if I got nothing more, and I'm not saying it's true, but even if I got nothing more than the ability to have another set of eyes looking at my problems, somebody whose only interest is in my success because they're, well, I mean, honestly, you're paid to do it, right? But at the same time, your goal is, you know, is whether or not we become successful. So to know that there's somebody else that's looking at that, who's invested in helping you become successful, even if it's just a new perspective on the thing that you were already doing.
hmm.
If you're considering it, you're already recognizing that there's something that could be improved. And if we all, I think most of us probably approach from a constant, never ending improvement mindset, right? We don't want to sit and rest on our laurels too long. Um, there's always that next step to strive for, to grow toward. Growth mindset is a huge thing. So if you're considering it, it's worth it's worth the exploration into, okay, let's try it and see. And I think you'll come to the same conclusions that you're going to learn something. You're going to increase your approach, your optimistic outlook for the approach. It's going to be worth it.
That's great. I think that you
Sorry,
made
I was
some
kind of
great points
rambly,
there.
but
But your point is great because um, all of us in the martial arts, I think, are used to aiming for growth and improvement. I think
right.
that's across so many styles, across so many levels, and if that can be a win-win scenario for all of us who are part of it, I think that's a great thing. And I know for me, I've really enjoyed the time that we've spent so far doing our work together, and I'm looking forward to more as we go along the way. And I appreciate you taking the time today to answer these questions. And here's to more success going forward. Yeah.
Sure, sounds great. Um, I agree. I've enjoyed our time. I'm looking forward to what the future has. So
Awesome.
yeah,
Thanks.